I'll call to order the October 23, 2017 special meeting / workshop meeting of the MISD Board of Trustees. And item number 1 is reauthorization of District of Innovation Resolution. Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. To summarize our meeting here, we'd like to reauthorize the district resolution to become a district of innovation to ensure that we are within the 30-day calendar to hold a public hearing. We have established that the next board meeting would be our public hearing date, and that puts us about 33 days or so right outside the window. So we would like to reauthorize the resolution at this time to ensure that when we conduct the public hearing next month, that we are well within the 30 days.
And that's when we don't have any technicalities around dates or times. That's meant, we published that we would post that meeting on the 13th. And so we wanted to keep that, that's what was published. And then we can work off of the other piece. And so the other one would put us at day 32, day 33. And we wanted to be sure that we fell within that timeline. So this meeting occurred to put this out. Another recommitment, reauthorization around our district innovation piece. And then take questions if there are any questions that come up since that time.
And to let you know, we've already started getting, we are soliciting names as well as we are getting emails from community members, parents that want to be a part of this work. So we are in the process of collecting names folks that are interested in serving on the district advisory committee.
I move we reauthorize this motion.
Motion by Mr. Kenny, second by Mr. Fuller. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, agenda item number 2, discussion of TASB convention. I'll start with a reminder, which is as much to myself as the other board members, and that is that we have a lot of things on our plate district-wide, and so we need to be mindful of any new program that we are excited about. May not fit within the overall scheme of what we're trying to do right now. If it pulls in nicely, then maybe we can get feedback from the district staff about, whether that's something that they're interested in, perhaps learning more about and pursuing. And then we also need to be mindful that they may say, that's a great idea, perhaps, but not right now. It's a terrible time to come up with this idea. So, any other cautionary comments?
No, those are all the cautionary comments. I think I've shared that with the team based on our district mission and vision, based on our long-term governance work, and based on our current work of Midland on the Move. Where's the holdover, or is it a pause, wait, research more, based on things that board members saw and would like to see something with us? Or is there a connection in another place? So we did it all, so.
All right, great. In no particular order, who would like to go first?
Well, I got a really small, I think, easy thing. Lacey may already know about it. One of the sessions I was in said to use our, the boards we have at schools better, not say, welcome back, have a good summer, but say, our custodians do how many thousands of square feet of cleaning every day or every year or whatever. I mean, give some real substantive facts and put them up there. And I thought that was a really good idea.
Yeah, they're. We saw that in the last session last day, and they said you already have the capability of sending out messages on these boards that people drive by every day. It's perfectly fine to say have a great summer, maybe the first 7 days of summer, but the rest of the summer you can take advantage of the opportunity, and also during the school year to take advantage of those existing billboard opportunities to brag, boast, inform, and so on to the community. So yeah, hopefully that's an easy yes.
So I'm glad you raised that, because that's one of the things that we talked about as a team, our messaging and how those are opportunities every day to present out messaging. First, to get it current, so if there's something that's dated, that it comes up. Next, to make sure that we have messaging about what's occurring on the campus. We've not taken it to that level though, and I really like that because it's not what I've done anywhere about taking that strategic messaging that goes out to our community during times that we're thinking about what could go up instead of, Bulldogs, Rock, or whatever it might be that we put up on the board on the marquee. But there is some other good substantive information that we could throw out. And that's something that we can get kind of a communique out to principals. Here are some things that you could put on your board as an option when you don't have, when you're wondering what can we put on the board. Here's something during the school year that can go, but definitely during the summer, we could really knock that out in a big way. So those are some good ideas. That's a good idea.
You remember the other example? One example was.
Miles driven,
What?
transportation, transported so many kids and so many miles, that was on there.
Yeah, that's right.
Graduation rate.
Oh, man, that's powerful. I like that. Can you present that? Can you recall?
So many hours, tutorials.
The last speaker.
General session.
Like general session.
Blueberry. Is it the blueberry guy?
Oh, the meals served was another one.
Yeah, that's right.
I sent a picture to Lacey of one of them. I took a picture of one of the slides.
Yeah, one example was thanks custodians over 500,000 square feet cleaned weekly. We appreciate you. And then, that was one of the, that was a different slide.
And I like that a lot. It keeps people informed on square footage, what we're doing with the science. We're probably cleaning more building than anybody. We're transporting more kids than anybody. We're the largest provider of transportation. We feed more kids, more people than anybody. It's the largest restaurant in the country as well.
Out of that same session,
Yeah.
you made an observation, I think is very important. The further the decision maker is from the child, the dumber the decision is.
I like it.
So that goes around with our system of great schools around autonomy. The principal, the decision making gets closer to the campus. So I think when you're not around the work, as often as the leader is, I think you can make decisions that don't benefit best sometimes. So I like that. Okay. Anything else?
Actually related to that, but somewhat different, and Jamie, you'll like this one. I went to one that was called RISE, and it was some school district that, within the school district, they had teachers apply to do things that require money, and then they're able to do it for the school. And it's like our Grants for Great Ideas. And so we already do it, but they do it within the school. The school accepts responsibility for paying for whatever idea they come up with. But we probably don't do enough with Grants for Great Ideas and some of the wonderful ideas that our teachers have come up with. So we can maybe talk about that a little bit.
So it's incentivized through the campus.
Yeah, theirs was. Their ISD interviewed and got the forms and paid for it. And I'm just that, what we already do.
Which is great. So one of the things that we're doing on top of that is that we'll be building in our budget an innovation option so that when we think about the things that we want to do innovatively, or if by ED or by principal or teacher brings up through that pathway, if there's something that we need to innovate ourselves with, there's a funding mechanism to help carry that over. So not just the grant for good ideas, but how do we really innovate ourselves moving forward? Not just, I want to transition an entire school, but here's a program of thought I'm thinking about. Okay, how do we help capitalize what that looks like? monetarily.
That's exactly what this session is about.
Good.
Who did this session, Karen?
I'll have to look it up. Okay.
We also, well, something that I got, because I didn't get very much, was a new member deal, took a new board member, took forever. But one discussion I was in was actually at that breakfast that CRRS had, was talking about, and I think we've already started this, I know, Rick, you and Linda both, trying to get a pipeline and dedication of students, teachers, student teachers to become teachers to come to here, so that we've got more than just having to recruit, and, you know, we've got some, if you will, some dedicated teachers that are coming out of college certified to come work in Midland. And basically, we need to do it at like Tech and Soul Laws, at San Angelo State, UTPB, Odessa College, Midland College, so that they're, you know, we battle the West Texas problem of, oh my gosh, I don't want to live in West Texas. If you get them here 2 years, it's all fixed, but to get them here is tough. And so a lot of schools are partnering with the colleges to have a pipeline of teachers, which I know we need.
So interesting that you share that conversation, because Trustee Davis met with UTPB and addressed that as a specific issue or need for us as a school district. And along that same pipeline, Mr. Bailey, Executive Director of HR, has had that conversation with Midland College and Texas Tech. Because Texas Tech has a 2+1. Would you explain that real quick?
Yes, Midland College met with Dr. Savage and Dr. Thomas, president over Midland College. They began the process of reaching out to UTPB first because of the connection with local community and UTPB. I feel like that should be the first priority, is to give UTPB the opportunity to step up to the plate and really make a difference with the pipeline issue. Right now, the education department is just not producing large numbers. There are some, but just not in large numbers. And so before we reach out all the way to Lubbock, we felt they felt like that it would be best to give UTPB the first opportunity to maximize on the 2+1 or something of that nature. And basically, the 2+1 program is the way Texas Tech has their structured. Is it's 2 years locally. You go to Tech for 1 year, and you finish with basically in 3 years with a teacher's certificate and a bachelor's degree. So it's been very successful down in South San Antonio area through Texas Tech. So we felt like we could definitely have some success here in West Texas as well. So that's forthcoming, and I think we'll hear some news about it pretty soon.
We're even talking about converting our already set teach programming to possibly fit right into students from our own high schools interested, starting with, of course, they already get some experience, but even extending it to a possible dual credit that pathway.
Can we offer, is there some way you can pay, give them some kind of benefit and get them committed to, you're gonna come work for MISD for 2 years because you got this benefit?
So there's some things that we potentially could do. So if we have a Red Set Teach student, Midland resident, goes off and goes into this 2+1 program, they know Midland, we want them to stay in Midland. We could, in essence, say that that time spent in that pathway, we could contract you, in essence, and in that, meaning when you return back to MISD, we would consider those years so that you don't start off as a 0-year teacher. You may start off as a year 3 teacher because of that commitment, and that's where it gets incentivized.
Okay, so we are, in essence, already kind of doing that. Okay.
Well, no, we're not doing it. It's all about, thinking outside the box,
Okay.
what we could do with students down that pathway.
We actually will offer those kids a letter, approved by Leah, obviously, but really extending that opportunity to come back to Midland ISD to work for us right out of high school. So, we often do that once they complete the reset.
And then the other thing, out of that same deal, and these, the school districts, you remember, they were both districts of innovation that we talked about. They, this was a guy in San Antonio and a lady from Clear Creek down in Houston. I guess because the District of Innovation, they have industry people, like they had people coming from NASA and stuff like that, and we could have people coming from Chevron and
Right.
wherever, and come and basically kind of teach
Mhm.
without having a certification.
That's it. And that's the District of Innovation work, that we would allow and bring those professionals in their certified areas. And they would teach in their certified area.
Right.
Meaning typically in the CTE area would be their main focus. So whether it's culinary or whether it's engineering or process management around the energy side, whatever it might be, we could bring those professionals in to take on that work. Absolutely, because their skill set helps cover more than just the teaching. We can give them the teaching craft side.
Right.
The content would be difficult. So for health science technology, nurses that would come in, it's very difficult sometimes to get a nurse to
Right.
get through all the credentialing that they've gone through for nursing, but they'll do all the credentialing also on the teaching side. This would allow them just to bring in their credentialing from the nursing side and allow them to go into what we call our health science technology classes and teach them that programs all the way up to becoming either a CNA or a pharmacist.
The other benefit I see is, students get exposed to a successful engineer or a doctor or an accountant or whatever.
Yes, and so what we've had even in our petroleum academies, that we have a teacher certified, and with the credentialing of business, we want a highly credentialed person in business, and then we can apply the teaching piece, because when kids go into those classrooms, they're already jazzed on the information. So you're gonna have good classroom management, because kids want to be there.
Right.
And so they're ready for the information that's coming forward. And it's, you have to have someone in industry who can bring all those realities of what is occurring in industry to the table, so they can touch, see, feel, smell, and really become engaged around being that next level of foundation for whatever that industry might be. So if it's a cook, I'm not necessarily looking for a food science certified person. I really would love an executive chef. Someone who's been, tell you about, all the aspects of front of the house and back of the house, and teach that to our kids and then launch them down that process. That's just an example.
At least the school district is prosperous. Thank you.
And on the UTV, Mr. Horner was there too, and after the ask, which was please expand your program, and we invite you to explore with us the possibility of student teaching opportunities to improve the quality of teachers. The president got up to the podium and she responded with, yes, we need to do all those things, and we look forward to the discussion and going forward. So I'm sure the discussion's already begun, but the president in front of the provost and others said, yeah, we need to do that. So we're encouraged by their quick response, at least initially.
So you were persuaded.
Well, I think the discussion had already been going on. I'm sure I get no credit, but I was just there to officially ask, I guess.
Giving principals an opportunity to preview a potential teacher as a student teacher really benefits and expedites the process.
Great.
And on our trip to San Antonio, we saw several models that were used by the charters that we visited. And one of them says a teaching assistant in the classroom, where you could pay these students once they leave and once they move off to college to be in the classroom to help support that work, and they continue with college in the evening. Or there's one credentialed person potentially, or maybe two, but they're degreed. Both are degreed individuals in the classroom. So one was 2 degree people in the classroom, one was a degree person, and a person who was going through that process, and once degreed would launch up to teaching, but they would have this teaching assistant building up, and when ready would launch up to the next level. The different models that we saw that we could, think through based on what we can leverage with our own internal candidates and options. And that was only K2. They did that in, K4? K4.
Who wants to go next?
I think one of the things that I like, and it kind of ties into what Tom just said about getting certified people in the classroom, but was talking about how high schools and middle school, junior highs had transitioned from a normal classroom setting and getting into a setting that was more based on what kids, the way they learn now and the way we're seeing things go for college. And so, and it probably wouldn't be a popular idea, but I know with space issues we have at some of our schools, talked about teachers not being really assigned to a classroom, but to a space. And the teacher traveled and they came back to a space. And where it's more like a college atmosphere rather than sitting at a desk, being these grown-up kids sitting in a small desk, being confined. And so I thought that was really innovative in the way they talked about some of that stuff.
And so there are schools that I've seen, and I'm sure we've had visits too, that have that format. So Capel has a model school. It's a new tech high school. It's modeled just like that, where students and teachers have a rotating schedule of where they go. And there's office space for a teacher. It's like at a university, you would have your office that you would go to after conducting your class. And there's another college in Dallas ISD that built their building, modeled it after that. So Capel took an elementary and turned it into a high school and developed all this open space and teacher space. And then the architects built a building that way in Dallas ISD to model it very similarly. No one owns space. We go to our space, and then when you're ready to sit down, here's where your space is teacher-wise. So we call it the loft, the perch, because it was built like a bird's nest. And what I still found though, during that time that we would have to work on, but I love the idea, teachers still want to own something in the classroom. So we talk about, we want you to make sure the classroom is a vibrant place and there are learning anchors that hang through what that looked like. So we're trying to navigate when an English, science, math, or not science, English, math, or social studies teacher comes into the classroom or elective. How do you own space in the classroom to put the learning anchors up for your class? And then, they love a desk in the classroom. So they actually take desk out, and teachers are finding desks to pull in. So it's navigating a lot of that because we're really going to show kids what college readiness is like, whether it's in industry or out. How do you help manage the space around that? And you technically don't own the space. And in essence, everyone floats. And until you get to your business office space. So that's a challenge that I would love to push us towards getting in. We talked about what that could look like for us. And in some sense with Capel, they operate off what's called units. And then instead of units are 15 minutes of incremental time. So everybody floats to your space. You have your where you're supposed to be going, and you go into your space, you bring your materials in. You may leave some materials that you might need regularly, and they're built on 15-minute units. And so chemistry may have 4 units because it needs a lab setting, it needs that time. And so chemistry is built for a longer period of time, and health might have only 15 units, or let's say 2 units, 30 minutes, and then you have to fill up time for the other 2 units of time because kids have to be able to rest someplace before they go to their next space. So they built a common space where kids can go to, much like at a university. You have a library or a space that you would go to while you're waiting for the next class to start. Really innovative in its practice, and so I'm glad you're seeing that because those are some things I think we could really think through when we're designing certain features for us.
Yeah, our buildings today are really not, were never built for that concept. Always built for kind of a homeroom teacher or, without floating. You can float every teacher, correct, but they still would then need a place to go to for their time to have an office, not an office as such, but at least a workspace, someplace to do work, and conference space. So,
I think that's one of the bright spots about our 3 new elementaries.
well,
is that
that's the way they were designed, yes. So when we build any new facilities, we need to look at that concept as floating versus non-floating teachers, homeroom teachers, and that has a big space implication as how you build a building. And it can be done in current buildings, but you're going to use some offices for some classrooms for some departmental and offices for teachers. And so And it's a whole different culture in an environment like that, yes.
I've seen some, I think they're probably newer builds, but almost as a common area is almost like a lecture hall, kind of auditorium seating where for these 4 units, this is the class that meets there. For these 4 units, a different class meets there. And then it's just kind of a usable space for everyone, not just this is the English lecture hall and that's the math lecture hall. It's just a workable space. But it's built bigger on purpose so that there are more kids that can be in there. And a lot of time they use that model also with flipped instruction, where a lot of the instruction happens online or at home the previous night. And then the teacher's there to kind of facilitate the work with a big group of students in kind of the lecture hall kind of setting. So it's exciting to see kind of the newer trend of what's coming.
Well, I thought it was interesting, the challenges they picked at us about being on Snapchat and Twitter and being current with
Instagram too.
Yeah, Instagram. I didn't think about the other one,
Instagram.
about how all this was, but it's interesting. After we came back, I was at soccer practice with 9-year-old girls, and one of the 9th grade brothers was standing with me. And so I just asked him, tell me what your favorite groups are. What music do you listen to? Because I was sitting there quizzing him on the 80s, and then all of a sudden I realized he wasn't getting there. So he gave me a song, and I pulled it up on my phone, and I was like, what? You listen to this? But anyway, just trying to tie in, what's their favorite song, and that sort of thing, and how we've got to relate to our students. So I just thought that was important.
No, absolutely, and that's something that we're definitely looking at, and how our kids best learn and what modules we're presenting their learning to. And I think in the last Listen and Learn, I shared if we were bringing people back from the 1800s to look at Midland, what it looked like then to what it looks like now, they'd be mesmerized by a number of things. What would be the constant is the way the classroom looks. And so how are we now getting engaged with our kids in the way that they learn, the way that they interpret information? How do we really reach them with a little push to get to an avenue of greater success? Because industry is looking for that curious, innovative, collaborator, communicator, critical thinker. So how do we put the learning environment into that range as well?
One of the ones I went to was about communication, only I expected to be communication in the broad sense, and it was strictly social media. And their suggestion was that we encourage all teachers, principals, and board members to constantly use social media and post pictures and post comments and say things all the time.
Brian has already begun that.
I use
Continuation of his
Facebook.
campaign.
Of course, my kids tell me that Facebook is so out of date.
There you
So-
go. Well, and this session said that too.
Yeah.
But don't we have a problem posting pictures of kids' faces? I mean, isn't that sort of
So we've got to
safety?
be careful because we have some parents whose kids who do not want their kids put out there publicly. And they give us documentation to support that. So even when I'm visiting or Lacey, we try to make sure that if we're having a group, do we have the kids that we can do, or if she's doing a shot at me or others, we've got to be cognizant of that. But I would tell you, Facebook is not as dead as you might think, because I would tell you the college kids are coming back to Facebook, and they're re-engaging with that work. It's one of our bigger venues that we choose to use for us as a district, and we'll get to Instagram and Twitter, and I encourage every principal, the last principal meeting, you need to get a Twitter account, you need to put that information out, because it is one of our communication tools. So not only the marquee being another viable one, but what's occurring on the inside and through social media, how do you let people know what are the things that are happening on the inside of your regular work day to day that they may not be able to see. And so pushing it out to teachers and just to go out and sell and brand the things that we have. So that's going to be Lacey's piece, because social media is going to be definitely one of the tools that we jump on. And Lacey, you might want to share you'll get it in the board update this Friday, but share what someone sent us most recently about our social media footprint that we're starting to establish.
Sure. I get really excited talking about our social media because we've just seen an incredible amount of people being interested. We're averaging 100 likes a week. And so that's a lot of attention. And I know some of the board, y'all do follow our page. We're posting frequently, and they're going viral. Posts are being shared multiple times, 10, 20, 30 times. Each post is averaging over 100 likes. And I'm posting 3 to 5 times a day. So that's a lot of activity. Our insights are up over 1,000%. So the numbers are there, the community's there. I know some people say, well, Facebook may be dying a little bit, but parents are on Facebook, kids are on Twitter. So we've got to be active in both. And then Instagram also reaches our students. So I will tell you from the numbers perspective and analyzing the analytics and the inside of social, the community is loving it. I received a wonderful Facebook message, I believe from a parent, on Friday, and it basically just said that they were so appreciative that the district was taking social media seriously, that the posts were so well written and just so phenomenal, and giving the community a really good snapshot as to the positive things going on within the district. And so we're getting really good feedback. I get calls every day, like, what is going on? This is so cool. So people love it. They're responding very well to it.
Thank you for that, because it's really cool to look on Facebook and see all that we've
Yeah.
never seen before.
And it's maybe because my daughter's a student at Baskin and I'm involved there, but the Baskin PTA right now is blowing out the park with what they're doing. I mean, as far as what's going on Saturday, this is what's going on in our community, here are our kids in action.
On Facebook or on?
Yes, on Facebook. And there, I mean, it's every Saturday, getting updates and stuff, but then there's also updates about what's going on during the week and stuff like that, so they're doing a nice job.
Is there a way, and then I'm showing I can even look, but is there a way to share Instagram? Because I'm scared of Twitter.
They both operate very similar. And so it's about who's following you.
Right.
That's going to get the message
Okay.
out.
So you're
not necessarily pushing it out to.
In other words, MISD could Instagram and then I can just share it like on Facebook. It's
with your
pretty easy.
followers.
Yeah.
Good, yes.
Oh, you could?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have an Instagram license?
Not yet, but we will.
Okay.
I
But
will make sure that's
Twitter will
done in
operate
the
the same
next
way,
day or two.
you know, based on your followers, you can like, or you can do similar
I
things.
guess
like
I can
on
have
the
to
Facebook
try it,
side
but I'm
with
scared.
your followers, and if someone comes in, take a look at it. And we do some things on managing our social media, because we also Facebook stalk people, meaning someone might come and put a comment up that might not be the most appropriate comment. So we'll go to their Facebook and look at, you know, their
Who they
things,
are.
and have a picture of a person, you know, putting up the middle finger as his picture. It's not what we want, and so then we block people and hide their comments. We can do some of those things to make sure that that messaging is that's not appropriate, you just can't say what you want to say. We'll take discourse and we'll take, you know, disagreement, but not things that go to that disrespectful level, and Lacey manages that piece as comments are coming in. People are appreciative of the comments, the way we respond back, because you may want to get it offline and direct message me. And direct message me, call me at this number, as opposed to putting the number out for everybody, so that we can then get the conversation offline from online, and then work with that individual, having an aspect, you know, put feedback in regards to their solution-mindedness on getting their problem fixed. So we're doing a lot more proactive approach to our social media. But if you need a social media update, there are some, you know, some really strong social media performers in here, and there are some that are just dipping their toe into it for the very first time. And my thing is just to go in, pull it up, and just, you know, start slow, take a picture, and, you know, send it, see who you want to follow, get information from. Following the district is really good, and then using that platform to also put out your information.
I have a question. Excuse me. A question for James based on our discussion of instructional innovation. How is this, in your opinion, going to impact our potential bond issues down the road? And in so doing, how is it going to influence the configuration of elementary school as we have it now?
some of this discussion we just had as far as different innovations. One of the things that we as a district, and before we put together any kind of building program, we're gonna have to look at what is our program? And so there's gonna have to be some flexibility in the next process. Because some of the issues that we're talking about right now can't be defined. And we're gonna have flexibility in all our future building designs. And we did that somewhat in our last bond with the elementaries and the flexible spaces, flexible furniture design that we had in those. It will have to be even, some of the discussions we just had here, we're gonna have to look at how we want to educate and make some of those decisions for flexibility. It will affect us.
What about some of our oldest schools from the Stone Age? How are we gonna make them, if at all, flexible?
There is ways that we can make those flexible. It would require some blowing out some interior spaces and redesigning those. If the decision is to reuse those buildings. Some of our buildings were built in the 50s, have been renovated. I was hired to renovate facilities 28 years ago. Those facilities now are ready for possibly another renovation. Or
And so I think that's the creativity that we have to use and think through on, what do we want to do for quality of air, for lighting, and for visibility, and for technology infrastructure, to meet what we see as a cast of innovation that should come in for dialogue, so that you have common spaces or no ownership of space, and what could that look like with configuration in elementary, middle, and high, all the way through. So I think we have some really exciting elementary campuses. You walk on Bunch, that is an exciting campus. You walk on Baskin and Yarborough, those are some exciting looking spaces. And I think they've set a footprint. Now, we have to develop what a footprint 50 years from now would look like. That's what we built something, that's how long we're anticipating that its longevity will be. So 50 years from now, what will space needs look like? And is what Mr. Murray's referencing, that no one owns the space, and you come and go, and doors go up, or walls go up, and walls come down, to make it very large, and then make it very compact. We have to think about all those things and development of that. And renovating and building, it's all about cost. Sometimes it's much more expensive to renovate something old to make it new, as opposed to just build new.
Yeah, when you speak in terms of, 50 years down the road, some of these elementary schools will be 100 years old.
Right.
And I don't think 100-year-old building is worth keeping.
One of the things that Mr. Flores, and I went to some of those classes where we talked about construction and rebuilding or having new buildings. I can't remember, it was 2 or 3 school districts that were together, and what they basically did before they went out for bonds on what they wanted, is they kind of got with the maintenance personnel and had like an opening of those facilities that needed to be replaced or renovated, and they invited the community to come out, and those areas were pointed out to the community to see. It's not that so much we need a bond to build new schools, but when you have people put their eyes on them, you actually show them some of the issues that you have with these buildings as far as capacity. If you can't build anymore because of the size or because of the age of the building, they got a lot better turnout in their bond elections to help them move forward in those processes.
Because I guarantee you a lot of the no voters on the TRE and everything else probably hadn't been inside Midland High or Lehigh or Travis.
I think if people can actually see
That's
it,
a great point. That is a great point.
I think they even talked about busing the community around to the school,
Yes,
right?
oh, really did. They talked about, mainly with senior citizens who
Yeah.
may not have, who were thought very long ago from when they had children in the building. They're not necessarily invested, but they're considered, they're a very large building block.
Maybe don't have the
put them
means
on a
of being able to
bus.
drive to those facilities.
Right, you put them on a bus, and you can tour your district, or take them on campus tours, pick them up and take them on a campus tour, so they can look and see very much what you talked about in regards to come see what we're talking about. And yes, it looks just like what it looked like when you were here. And here are some 21st century options that we should think of and mark up to what it could look like. But those are two really good ideas.
Being the political animal that I am, I went to one just based on the title. It was "You Can't Fix Stupid, but You Can Vote Them Out." And frankly, I mean, the emphasis was that so much of our legislature is not education friendly, and that we need to do a better job of getting some education friendly people there. But and I will frankly say I didn't learn anything particularly in that session, but I was reminded, relating to what we're talking about right now, of the kinds of things we have to do to get votes for moms or whatever. That in this particular one, they had a really strong ministerial alliance that went out and worked for the school district, which I thought was kind of interesting, because I know we've had that before, but I'm not sure it's been that strong. And they just talk about teachers don't vote, you need to get teachers to vote, you need to do things like take people on tours, and all the things that we know and need to do, we just need to remember to do it better than we've done it before.
So it's interesting that you're sharing that. We built in essence, a model to help our staff members become really engaged with voting. And campus level, we had talked about creating the space and time for individuals to take a day. Let's say it's Friday. We have 2 weeks of early voting. That on the next 2 Fridays, we allow during the PLC time our staff members or lunch to go and actually cast their vote. They come back with their voting sticker, and the campus that has the most votes is incentivized.
And they get their free burrito.
Yeah, it helps that.
Gotta get 2 stickers in.
Right. And so we talked about getting a jump burrito on what we could do to incentivize that for campus, so that the sticker would actually be used at the campus and create something creatively like that. This building as well, we put into that same point, so that we can show what we're doing to actively vote. We don't care who you vote for, just care that you vote. And what that means to get out there and make that work happen. We inform you on who's aligned to the things that we're doing, and then you make a decision based on what that alignment looks like for you. And so what's about, where we just discussed a very purposeful effort to make that actionable for us as a school district. So then we have a couple of sessions in there doing that work. We get our 18-year-olds, we talked to Jeff about getting our 18-year-olds go out there and do their due diligence as a citizen and actually do their vote and get a bus and take them to the voting site and let them go through and cast their first vote and go through all that nervous anxiety and make all that work happen, so that we can really spearhead what this looks like for us, so that educators are coming to the table. So we mentioned some things on that. We talked about that with Jeff and making it very purposeful.
Well, I attended 2 sessions that speak to the issue of systems in great schools, and both sessions focused on our becoming as board members, teachers, principals, directors, whatever, leaders in the area of raising our consciousness as it relates to multicultural emphasis, the identity concept. And one of them was titled, really interesting, I think, Disrupting a Cultural Coma Through Teaching. So as we think about systems of great schools, and that came up in the discussion right here in this room, one of the presenters, about curriculum and how diverse it is, and how we focus on using cultural diversity as a means of addressing equality as well as equity. And as leaders, the primary point was, we've got to be on top of that.
And so talking with the English department, actually I'll be moving to the English department in high this week, but I think it's important that our array of things that we provide in our curriculum is culturally diverse, that kids see, and hear and read about people and things that are going on around our world that reflect who and what they are. I think that's important. And one of the things as we push towards our system of great schools work, our life alignment on curriculum, so not just philosophically and saying you get all this kind of autonomy, but in school performance framework. But I think we've got to think about what curriculum looks like so that when we have these kids who learn in a very different way, how do we expose them? The great thing about being in the public school is the diversity of it. So not only economic diversity, but socially, ethnically, what all that means, and how do you become these great, how do you develop these great tools to launch you into your college readiness year, or go into career, or off to a 2 or 4 year university, how we make that happen. And I think it will then start to pull in the teaching and learning side to see how does all this start to now fit together.
Already in the works is looking at that secondary reading list. It needs work. We have a new director of language arts, and that's one of the things I've put on her plate is that it needs to be more rounded and diverse and not necessarily the way it's been. So
You know, I think the whole point of that discussion in both of those sessions has to do with how courageous can we be as board members, professional educators, in delivering information that defines us in terms of our diversity. And I guess the key word that I got to was, we've got to be deliberate. We can't stab here and there and say, well, what are we doing in the direction?
And I'll give you an example of that deliberateness. So as I presented Thursday to the group, there's a short story that's in the text right now, and it's been in the text for a very long time. In 1997, it was in the text, and I'm sure will probably remain. It's called The Most Dangerous Game. And we have to educate our community around lexiles and how important lexiles are to your reading level. And so let's say if you're at graduate school, your lexile reading level would be at like 1700 because the depth and complexity of what you're understanding and critical thinking that you need are out there. When you're going through many technical manuals, you're probably at 1100, 1200 when you're dealing with a technical manual. And so when you start off in your reading, as a young one, you might be at 200 or 300 level. Well, there's a book, you have it, and in it is a story, and it's lexile probably about 700. Well, when kids take the EOC exam, the reading on the EOC exam is at 1,000 or higher. So we have to think about what our kids engage themselves with. We're really going to get into the places that they need to get to, whether it be a technical manual that you're reading for a career, or you're headed to college, or you're getting prepared for a state assessment. What does that look like, and how do we scaffold you behind and get you to a point where we get you to a level of readability? And so those are just some things, not just with cultural diversity, but just our academic diversity that we have to be able to bridge and get through. And talking with our ELA director, he walked up to me after I talked about that and said, it's still in there, and that's my job. I'm working on that piece to show that what can we read, a story that they start every year with, there's all these activities that can generate from it, but is it what our kids need? We're going to really take into this academic diversity. So not just culturally aware of the things that you can talk about, socially aware, but also academically aware.
Well, I had two things. I don't think either of them are easy ask, but as by way of example, that this presentation was put on by an elementary school principal at Fort Worth ISD. She's at Manuel Jara, Jara Elementary. Her name is Marta Plata. I have her business card. She's at a school in which they have 98% economically disadvantaged. They have 73% of their students are left, 72% are dual language. And she instituted an effort, she's a terrific speaker. And she opened up her seminar by saying, well, she began what's called Parent University at her elementary school. And she said the genesis for that was one day I had I'd used the Title I funds and set up this tutorial class after school, and I was so excited about it. I publicized it, and I went there for the first day, and I heard this child who didn't think I could overhear him say, when Miss Plata turns her back, I'm going to leave. I'm going to get out of here. And so she had her back to her, and so she noticed he left, and so she chased him down 10 blocks and was on the radio, give me your home address, I'm going to, for so-and-so. And she got home, she got to the child's home, and of course she's out of breath, and she's agitated and frustrated, and shows up on the parents' front door, and the mother comes to the door, and the boy's already just arrived home, and so she's very defensive. Here we have this panting, out of breath principal that's chased her child down 10 blocks from the school, and she says, well, the parents' response to their failure to stay, well, he doesn't like the teacher. The teacher's terrible and doesn't treat him with respect. Well, she said, well, it's not even the same teacher you're talking about. This is a special teacher. We brought him for tutorials. And she goes, I don't care. Y'all just don't treat him. School's just not for him, and so on. So she walked back, and she said, well, come visit with me. Or before she walked, she goes, come back and visit with me, please, tomorrow morning. So they made an appointment the next morning. The parent comes in with the child. The principal's composed herself, very friendly, and so the parent noticed right at the time, well, you sure are a lot nicer this morning than you were yesterday. And so she goes, yes, I apologize for that, but, I've thought about what happened yesterday, and, what I've decided is that I need to tell you some things. Right now, Johnny is in 5th grade. He's his Lexotter level, he's at grade level 2, 2nd grade level. He'll probably go to middle school next year in about 3 months, and chances are he will fail middle school. He'll be a dropout, and he won't be successful the rest of his life. He said, but you know what I've decided, Miss Parent? It's not my problem. I didn't give birth to Johnny. You did. I have provided all these resources for Johnny, set everything up for him to succeed. He's not taking advantage of it. So if you and Johnny want Johnny to fail, that's on you. It's not on me. The mother turns to Johnny and said, you will not be late. You will not miss another time. You will be there, and the rest of that story is that Johnny did. Johnny's never missed. But from that, she said, what I need to do is engage the parents. And so she started Parent University at her elementary school. It's evolved, but she used as a resource, she used a program, Raising Highly Capable Kids, as the curriculum. And the program director for Resilient Kids, where that program came from, he was there. And it's a 13-week course that is either held on the campus or in the church. She also partnered with the church that's 2 blocks away that provides daycare and a meal. She had lots of little hints, like we start at 5 p.m. because a parent who leaves work goes home. It's hard to get them back out of the house after they go home. They're tired. But if you have it at 5 p.m. and they have to come straight from work, our attendance is much better. It's a 13-week course about the 40 developmental building blocks you have that every child should have in their home. And they had the parents go through that. There's a graduation ceremony for the parents the first year. They've done it about 3 or 4 years now. They had only 29 enroll in the first year, 20 the second, then 57, and now 58. This is their 4th year. 101 was so successful that the parents who graduated said, well, what are we going to do now? She goes, well, we're going to do 201. Well, she didn't have 201, but she said, okay, she came up with 201. 201 is that they now go back into the classroom. There are opportunities for these parents to come back to the classroom and then interact with their students, their children, and other students to apply what they learn. Encouragement, communication, lots of skills like that. At the end of that, they, and on that, they had of the 29 that graduated in 101, 21 went into 201 and did that activity. Then she goes, well, we want to do what's next, 301. 301 was, they partnered with the local community college, and the parents could choose adult learning classes that would benefit themselves individually. GED, English language learning, those kind of classes. And then 401 that she came up with in year 4 was, they now come back and they become instructors as part of the 101 campus. The interesting thing is that there are 86 children of the parents that have gone through the program. Among those that have gone through the program, all 86 or 19% are reading at grade level. 81% are reading above grade level. And none of those stats were true as to any of these 81 children until they went through this parent university. She also noted that San Angelo just implemented it this year. I don't know how many campuses yet, I don't know, but anyway. The challenge, obviously, it's a lot of work. The principal herself does all this after school at 5 p.m. and so it's a lot of work on the principal. I don't know if that's the best model, but it certainly has been successful for her because they know the principal, they get familiar with the classroom, it's a friendly environment, and they don't have any trouble coming in and talking to teachers and principals after they enroll in this. They have a formal graduation ceremony, cap and gown, they get certificates, and it's really been an excellent program, and they hope it just gets bigger and better every year. So that's thing one.
That sounds like, I mean, it's the old, you have to have a license to drive a car and go down and have a kid. So, that really is a great idea. I wonder if you could do it community-wide, or would it lose some of the?
I don't know, that one thing that came to mind was, kind of in a bit in contrast to this, but in terms of how it's implemented, but certainly entirely consistent with its intent, was that Educate Midland, and part of their recruiting and retention task force, said that maybe we ought to have it wasn't this extensive or involved, but they said, well, maybe we as a third party, if the school district, were to lecture parents as to what they should expect and how to have a parent-teacher conference and how to do all those kind of things, that it may come across as self-serving, and it may not be as welcoming, they may not have as much credibility. But if Educate Midland were to utilize other resources and kind of do something like this, it wasn't nearly this laid out, but the concept was to maybe do something like this, and maybe they could do it with utilizing their community resources. So anyway, that's another thing that came to mind as an alternative way to do that. I know it's a big ask and it'd be a lot. If anyone's interested at all, we'd have to really think through it. Maybe it's a next school year type thing, maybe. But anyway, I'm sure would love for y'all to consider this or talk about it, or listen, and hopefully talk more about it, because I think it goes to a lot of things that we're doing.
I think it falls over with several things. I just mentioned here, with just our all the back and watch on programs. So what's next for this type of parent university for dads who are now re-engaging into this work? I think there's some things that probably lessons learned on how to just make it sustainable. And if she would leave, who's picking it up next would be my next question, right? How do you make it sustainable as a model? I like that engagement with the parents. There's some things that I think we have out in front of us right now, but I think it's something that we'll definitely get to in regards to how we want to get our parents engaged with the right questions and the right information. So I'm tasking principals with how are you engaging the parents with information so that they're better equipped to address any academic needs or needs of their kids with the to read 10 or 15 minutes a day, and how do we ensure that we can make that happen? Are we making the packets? Are we sending directions home? What are we get to a point where it's that direct on how do we really engage you at a one-on-one level, or 201, 301, 401, to really make it very authentic, and then how do you go advocate this back into your community? I think theirs was very intentional on where that school may sit, on parents that are not engaged, how do you do it, versus a campus where they're highly engaged,
Right.
how do you direct that? But,
Yeah, in terms of sustainability, I forgot the stats now, but I mean, she obviously has been successful with this campus, so she has trained other campuses, a limited number in Fort Worth ISD. I don't know if the program's now at 6 or 10 elementary campuses there, and then she also had some kind of a role in training or helping San Angelo begin their pilot program. So I don't know the specifics yet, but I've got information.
we ready to let that piece?
Rick, Bunch did the Parent University last year. What company did they use? Do you remember? Or was it her own design? But they graduated and they did all of that. It was a really good program.
All right.
It's through
We may have some
one of the churches,
models already.
One of the
Concourse Road,
churches.
Central Christ.
Yes.
Okay. The second one isn't so much a program, and hopefully there'll be some add-ons about familiarity with it. And I'm not, it's not nearly as prepackaged in terms of what my knowledge is, but it's the Adverse Childhood Experiences, ACE, you know, a trauma-informed school about, I've got a handout here. Actually, the handout came from Judge Leonard here locally. As I understand it, and I'm certainly no expert, I'm probably not going to do it justice, is that through these studies, they've identified there are 10 types of childhood trauma that occur in a childhood's life. I'm seeing a lot of head nods, so I don't want to bore you with stuff you already know, but maybe for the other board members.
Important.
That affect a child's ability to learn: physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical neglect, emotional neglect, mother treated violently, household substance abuse, household mental illness, parental separation or divorce, and incarcerated household member. And essentially, a study not only identifies those, but I think, as I understand it, has come up with processes and resources available to first identify and appreciate as a teacher, you know, what's going on, to maybe, and then provide some help and resources that students, either through the district, through the teacher, counselors, whatever, to just be more informed about A, the problem, and B, what can be done to help the child overcome those challenges that they might experience at home that cause them to be less than ready to learn when they arrive at campus, but for someone's intervention or help. So anyway, Judge Leonard also, she brought it to me last spring and said, you know, really love to see y'all get involved. Here's the information on it. And I told her at that time, I said, well, we're in a little bit of a transition here, and we got to wait for the new superintendent to get in place before we can really. But there also is something here locally, and don't know, but if there's something like local, whether it be the parole board or the adult rehabilitation or something that's already tied into this, and that they're aware of this, and somehow they kind of are already trying to identify these things to educate their customers, if you will, about the impact they have on their child's learning. And so because there's an opportunity there to grow that and become more aware of it, maybe.
Well, there's a director of Culver, Forrest Hannon. I met with him last spring, same type deal, and he wants to see that happen, you know. But there's something else that's already going on, like we talked about, between Odessa and Abilene. What's it?
It's wraparound services that they put together a nonprofit, and Forrest is really kind of ramrodding the nonprofit. They actually have just hired an executive director, but it's the same concept. It's through the juvenile court system and through several different entities that we're in conversations with about what that looks like for wraparound services for kids. So that's not necessarily bringing ACE in, but that's the
Similar type program.
Yeah.
Well, I heard about it last spring, and then Leah really did, I heard about it at 10 too, so. It reminded me that this seems to be a part of the umbrella of no excuses, growth mindset.
Right.
You know,
Right. And so, a couple of notes, we're in competition with Forrest around restorative justice for kids, and what does that look like when there's an expulsion process, and what can we do for students in that fact. We've held several, I can't say several, but I've attended one. I know it's on our radar for what we call wounded heroes. And we had a gentleman who came in to talk with, it might have been about maybe 200 staff members, teachers and staff, at a session about how do you help someone who comes to school with trauma like this to get them to learning. Because when you are in this kind of trauma, you know, algebra, reading, you know, whether it's culturally sensitive or academically sensitive, that is not on your radar right now. You're trying to recover from what you looked at were the top 10. And so he helped share with us strategies around that, and our counselors were involved in that. And our counselors have been doing work in that regard as well. So that's certainly on our radar for that social emotional child, and what we can do to help that student recover so we can get them to the reading and to the math that are going to help launch and change generations at that point.
Do we have any training that helps the teachers understand that, or can help them identify, okay, this kid is acting out because, and of course, obviously, they don't know, but they can realize, because that was one thing Forrest mentioned to me, was a lot of times kids get sent to Culver or get sent to juvenile detention, or whatever, because the teacher just says, oh, well, that kid's, you know, acting out, when in fact, if she dug a little deeper or could see the signs, there's training apparently to see the signs where this kid has been either abused or had some problem at home or something like that. Do we train?
So that's what that wounded hero coming and bringing about.
Oh, okay.
We've got quite a few more people, staff members in the district that touch kids every day. And so it's a start. And I think we've got to be very conscientious on how we bring that individual back, or likewise, life sessions back to get to that point. And so there's some protocols that are there to get to the counselor for that. Because what I try to tell people, when you have a student who's, you know, angry, upset, and starts, you know, chunking their coffee, or chunking things off the table, books, pencils, you know, turning tables over, kicking, a lot of those are learned behaviors of how you react. You're reacting because of some emotional trauma that you have. You know, it's not like the student walks in and says, I'm just going to feel like this coffee cup is throw. There's something that very much seated behind. We try to get those individuals to counselors to make sure that we can get to the root cause.
Right.
I would say it doesn't work at the same time. Usually that student gets removed, and then there comes some recidivism around every time that student makes a mistake around that. And there's some work that we have to do on our end, and we have some teachers who are really good about being patient and getting to the root cause so that they know that they're in a safe place, and counselors as well. So I think it's a variation, and it's got to be more consistent around what that looks like. And so I attended the day two, no, the second half of the session. They had two sessions, two half sessions. In my session, there were 200, and they'd been similar in the first session. And I think Jeff was there all day with the presenter. And so let's say there were 4 or 500 people that did the sessions. But in my afternoon session, it's very powerful, this work. And it starts from the time that you see the student walking up, from the body language, what you know, their appearance, all those things you want to take note of before you even get to the learning, and knowing your students well. So we've done some work with capturing kids' hearts, which has that same mindset built in, where you get to really build this relationship with the students, so you know the students that well. So when trauma does occur in their life, or it has, how you nurture that to get them to the learning. So there are a couple of avenues that we've taken in regards to going after it. Not near deep that we need to be, but we started that process.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
this goes back to about probably 2009, when we started the whole child, and we trained everyone in the school district with Rays of Hope training to recognize trauma, loss, that sort of thing. And so then, since that time, we probably, I mean, I'll get you the number, but we've had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of grants that have gone into trauma-informed care. And so we have really great counselors, and a lot, that core was the crisis counselors. And so we've got one crisis counselor now. And so that's, you know, because of budgets, there you go. And so that's the tough thing right now.
And part of that, once you know the trauma exists and the counselors are working with, it's about the social services that you need that long-term for family and for student. What you can, you know, do all the wraparound services that that student needs, from healthcare to counseling to family counseling to all the other things that you need to do to build that entire family up. And we don't have, and that's the work of the counselors, we don't have someone operationally say, oh, I've got 2 programs that you need to do. This church is providing this type of program and this type of work, or the hospital does this on this particular day, and you can get connected on this particular day with this type of need that you have. There's pro bono work through Texas Tech. There's, you know, we don't have that connecting piece, and so our counselors are the receiver. And, you know, I think we need to have, they may or may not, when you walk in, you tell me what you have as a need, I can flip and say, okay, on this need, here are all the individuals who provide help around that need. On this need, here are all the individuals who provide help and services around that particular need. And it's like a crisis book that helps assess not only where you are, but what do you do next?
9 through 12, we have communities of schools in each one of the schools that's actually predominantly what they do is they connect. Counselors will identify those students in need and connect them with our CIS persons, and they actually work in getting them those outside community resources, and they do have that list that they can go to.
So you have got 2 high schools, 2 freshman campuses, and 2
Goddard's or 1 junior high.
the ones in the
Anything else from the board members? I need to go back, I apologize, I'm going back on the agenda, but Patrick, a while ago, you mentioned committees, you're forming a committee for this district renovation. Have you identified teachers for that committee?
Yes, we will be utilizing the teachers that serve on the DEIC.
Okay.
That represent, we have representation from all campuses in the district.
Okay. Some of the questions I've had talked about class size and talked about teachers without certifications. So I thought it's important that we have a good
The
representation.
majority of the members on the committee will need to be teachers.
Okay, great.
It's required that the majority of the members on this committee are teachers.
I just, you know, we as a board last year asked to try to budget for 22 to 1 and couldn't get there based on finances. And so the community needs to know that's really important to us, that we want smart class sizes. We're not going to this plan so we can throw 25 or 26 kids in there without thinking about it.
No, you're absolutely right, and I shared that with Stuart, and I said, Stuart, you didn't do your research based on where I had done district renovation previously. Does it mean that we're gonna, you know, go to 27 to 1 in elementary classrooms? If you look, we built a model K-5, because 5 was at the elementary, 6, 8, and then 9, 12, based on class size, and it was 22 to 1 that we wanted in that class size environment. One of the things that was brought up interesting enough is based on the demand and the need for one at our magnet schools, and do we want to think about, you know, 24 to 1 at the magnet school in regards to class size? So we're not going to 27, but do we want to go above 22? We're thinking about opportunities for kids to get that kind of exposure. And we have a wait list, and what could that look to fill up that wait list? And so I shared that with them on the certificate side. I think people definitely, when you're in the core areas, need to have that background and that foundation. And so what does it look like for the CTE? But if we were to partner with somebody, one of the things that they would have as an opportunity is to bring people who have the content, but not necessarily teaching certification. And so those are some things that we have to think through as a board from our board. in regards to if we were to build a school or partner with someone who has a school, that's not a requirement. If we were to develop something ourselves, we want to be able to compete on the same playing level, bring in content experts, but not necessarily teaching certified. It helps enhance the build, but it's not that we want to remove all teachers from our system and just bring in non-teaching certified people. I think there's a definite component of what I would love that teachers have that certification, because it talks about pedagogy and it talks about now your content knowledge based on what you've learned, and you pass an examination in regards to that. So there's a bill that we don't want to go just without things and increase numbers and get that kind of autonomy. There's still some lanes designed around that autonomy that we want to have.
And one of the reasons I kind of pushed that is that, like, I had a teacher talk to my wife at the church and said, well, we see negative parts of this too, and the board has made decisions before that we don't necessarily trust them on where their goals are. So I think that as long as we have teacher buy-in, it does better for ourselves.
Oh, yeah. And it is a big committee. It's one of the bigger committees that you'll see. And it is heavily teachers. And you have to list down who's on this committee and what role they serve so that they can voice out what those concerns, and they have to vote in regards to the ideas that come forward. But definitely want to make sure we keep an eye on class size. I think that's important, because that you're limited by 700 and some odd square feet at elementary. You only get so many bodies in at high school based on square footage. That's how you get your footprint of the size of a classroom. And we definitely want to look at those aspects for quality of class.
So on November 13th, when we have the public hearing, we will also, on that same agenda, we will also have you review and hopefully approve the district advisory committee. So we will have a list of everyone that serves on that and their role: community member, business leader, teacher, educator, administrator, those types of things.
Thank you.
Anything else from the convention? We still have the Lone Star governance item.
Let me just say that having attended a gazillion test conventions and workshops in the past, I always got some self-knowledge out of it, but I never felt like it was really used to the fullest. And I think this has been a really good meeting, because not only did we share among ourselves, but with all of you too. Thank you all for being here.
No, I think it was very good to have it as well. I've not done it either as well.
Good idea.
It's Karen's idea.
But it wasn't Let me continue. It was my idea for us to get together, but not for y'all to be there too. And whoever added that component, it was the most important component.
Good cover.
All right, what's our Lone Star governance?
For y'all to kind of discuss what you want that community meeting to look like, so that way y'all can get to agree. Do y'all want it to be in the evening? Do you want it to be at a community place? Do you want it to be at a school? Do you want a date in mind? Just so we can kind of start working towards it.
But I think it has to be on the campus, right? That part of the
This one
question.
needs to be at each feeder pattern with low performing campuses during the previous 12-month period. And so feeder patterns, so I guess we could pick one on each side. Are 4 in different feeder patterns? Are they all in just one?
Feeder pattern of what?
They're separate.
They're
separate.
Midland High
So we
School.
need to do a Midland High and a Lee High, so we need at least 2. Host a community meeting at each feeder patterns. At each feeder pattern.
All right, so start again. What is your questions are? When? During this quarter.
Right? And then Joe might have one at each, we could do one in each auditorium.
Yeah, Lee, I think that's a good idea.
That's great.
I think we should have it in the evening so that we can get, hopefully, better attendance, because people have to work.
Or at 5 o'clock.
Well, maybe 5 o'clock, I mean, that's, I think maybe you'd have it at 5:15.
That's what I thought when she said that too. 5 works.
I got you.
And Joe,
Yeah.
right.
What'd you say, Jen?
Are you talking for the 4 IR schools?
I'm gonna say 5:30.
They all
They're all
feed Midland High.
They all feed Midland High, okay. Because what it says is board members may have hosted a community meeting to discuss progress towards student outcome goals at each feeder pattern with low-performing campuses during the previous 12-month period.
So they're all coming to Midland High? They all feed to Midland High?
The current 12.
The current 4?
Current
Well, then, we just need one.
Midland Heights?
But if it's the last 12 months,
12 months.
that includes
But
bleeding
that's
too.
12
months, everything like those.
I see that.
Then it would be inclusive.
Yeah.
of bleeding.
I think you have one
Yeah.
little
12
side
months
too.
is the-
Meeting both sides.
It's during the previous 12 months.
So we need-
Feeder patterns.
we need-
Previous 12, you go back.
So we do need to, I suggest as much as that we do it before Thanksgiving, because Christmas to Thanksgiving's got so many other things going on. But I don't know, and that's my suggestion, nobody
Say
else.
that.
We ought to do it before Thanksgiving.
Can.
And do y'all have a night preference? Do you want to keep things on Mondays or just kind of look at where
Well,
we
is there a
have-
sense of what night would be best for community involvement by anyone?
Well, we're doing it at the 2 auditoriums, we need to make sure we
Check
check
it out.
it
Right.
We have at least an hour.
I'm sure they've got
All their
concerts
activities.
and fall, and I mean,
And
so
then
many
others
See
things.
where we
were
can
Concert.
meeting.
maybe on their campuses as well, 'cause I know they're doing their fall plays, but then they'll go into their Christmas concert, you go into Christmas season.
That's why,
So then you
yeah.
go to your choir
We just
concert,
started one
your
that happened, had
band concert, orchestra.
That's not a bad idea.
I don't think we ought to do it on a Wednesday, though. We'll try to keep.
Tuesday, Thursday.
Thursday.
What's that?
Thursday.
Thursday's good.
You'll be going into basketball season, football
Tuesday,
season.
Thursday is game nights. Basketball season.
Maybe Monday night, subject to scheduling and availability.
If we use library, I'm sure we can use both high schools.
If we use the library.
Use the library.
Well, we want to hopefully have enough seating.
Right.
You know, we're gonna have a big turnout,
Right.
so we need the auditorium.
I agree, I just
But I
offered up in some trouble.
Plan B.
The only thing I had on Lone Star government so far until last board meeting was, you know, I was told y'all that I was having a back and forth with AJ about trying to get an answer on the evaluation of superintendent questions that we had, and it's, the good news is, not the great news, but the good news is that in light of our question, they've changed the criteria that you have to evaluate within 18 months to get those districts that, you know, have a superintendent change. But the bad news is it still doesn't help us because if you're gonna evaluate, even setting aside our particular circumstances, but in terms of our superintendent situation, is that they further said that we could not have, well, they said, they answered the question was, okay, well, even if we hadn't had a superintendent change from interim to permanent, we can't qualify for those points because we only just adopted the student outcome goals and goal progress measures last spring. So we won't have the ability to evaluate the superintendent until next spring or late spring school year. And they said, yes, that's correct.
So we're not gonna get the extra 3 weeks.
Our question did result in a change, but not one that helped us this year.
What does that do to us on the leaderboard? I
I don't know what it'll do to us later. Our score is not gonna go up from what we agreed to on the school board meeting, which was
Accountability 2 was zero.
I know, but the total score was,
Total score for this quarter 72, 35.
okay, and so you only get graded on the actual. 72, I do not yet know, because we haven't officially turned it in yet either. I need to get that to them. I don't know where that will put us. I am reasonably confident that we'll still be in the lead, but we don't yet know. I haven't checked this today. I know what you're checking. I don't think. I did get this.
Where do you check it? Is it on TA's website?
Yeah, TA, go system grade schools, and then one of the tabs is leaderboard. tell you, I got a nice email from AJ last week. I'll share with y'all.
You call us rock stars?
Did not,
Mike does that.
I know.
because it's the entire district that's called rock stars. I'm trying to make that clear to Orlando now. He revised his comments to say the entire district was referred to as rock stars. But he wrote, simply this: I reviewed the work you all have done in advance of the leader board updates next month, which I think he means they'll be posted in November, I think, for this last quarter, which we have 72 now. I couldn't find disagreement with your currently submitted score. Obviously, your score may change by next month, given additional work you have all done last month, this month, and next month. I've enjoyed your questions that have pushed us to improve and clarify the manual. You all continue to be a model statewide. I'm incredibly grateful for all your work. So that's to everybody.
That's awesome.
All right, anything else? All right, thank y'all very much for coming and listening to us. Appreciate it. We are adjourned at 1:07 p.m.